Okay guys, welcome back to part 4 of the 350 TOS Classic Enterprise build up here from my client Steve. And what you see here in front of you is the nacelles and pylons and the neck. And what I've gone through and done now is we're just about to the point where we can get through and start building up and putting all the lighting in there and getting them closed up and you know, getting especially for the neck. Still got to go back through and do the light blocking on the inside here of the neck, and then paint the glass. And then we're gonna go, you know, we're gonna go through here, and on this one here, I believe is this glass here is red, so we're gonna do that on both sides here. And then we're going to go through, and once we get that closed up, we'll take you through on part 5 of this of the build up here, and show you how to do the wiring for the neck here. And then we're going to go through, and I'm off camera, I'm going to go through and start running the wire, you know, getting the glass put in, and start running the wire for the you know, for the nacelles, and getting them all run and getting the nacelles closed up. And we're gonna have to do some different modifications, because we're not going to use the round 2 motors, because those of you who have built this kit with the round 2 motors know how loud they are, and they can be toned down by stuffing pillow tacking in there, or like a pool noodle or something like that down in there. It, you know, kind of help quieten down the motor a little bit, because basically this acts like a big megaphone for the motor, so you want to keep that noisy, but keep that quiet. And also you could take and wrap Velcro around the motor and slide it in there. You just have to hollow out the holes just a little bit, but I'll take you through a little bit about that once we get to that point. But what I've gotten done now is I've gotten everything. I used our adhesion promoter, and of course, before we do, you know, before you do any of this stuff, you want to use wash all your parts with soap and water. I use Dawn dish detergent, and it gets that releasing agent off there. And you know, use it with a scrub brush, and it gets that releasing agent off there, and it allows for you to get a smoother paint adhesion to it, and it also allows the paint to stick a little bit better, because there's no grease or oil buildup on it. So pretty much now what we've got here is I'm not going to be doing a whole light blocking on the inside of this nacelle, of the nacelles, because of the fact that we're not putting any lighting for the chiller grills. Now I'm going to be doing that with mine. I'm going to be lighting my my chiller grills on my personal build here in the near future, but on this one we're not, because our client doesn't, you know, wants it like the Smithsonian. So you can see here it's got a nice fit. Went through and before I put my adhesion promoter on, I went through, put these together, and kind of sanded down the seams a little bit, because there was just a little bit of a step there. And so what I did is I sanded it down with some 220 grit sandpaper, and then up to 306, and you know, on up. But now we have pretty much you know, the seams are pretty well balanced now. So when we get those together, all we have to do now is put our putty wire seam work, and then we'll sand it down. And I'm not going to paint these until I have the seam work done on this, because we're not going to be, like I said, we're not going to be doing any lighting on it or anything else like that. So once we get, you know, and we're not going to have our, you know, our end caps and stuff like that on yet till the very end. So I can go through and sand it down, and go back through and add a little bit of primer, and then go through and apply our base coat. So but anyway, that's that for now, guys. And then what I'm going to be doing is I've got this secondary hull closed up now, and I'm going to take you through and show you how to do a little bit of seam work and putty work on that. So let me get set up with that here, and we'll be right back, guys. Hang 10. Okay, guys, well, here we are back on the bench, and now we have in front of me here the completed secondary hull now. It's been drying and gluing. It's been drying for over an hour now, and so tell you a little bit about what's been going on. This took me a little bit longer to put together than I thought it was going to originally. When I originally got the shuttle bay all together, and in the last video it was all together, and I put the tulip and light blocked everything. Got it ready to go, and I made mention that I went down and inside the secondary hull and grinded down the secondary hull walls, and and I got it glued. I got it set in place there, test fitted it, and it worked. It was real good. No gap whatsoever. So I proceeded on with the putting the round 2 lighting harness on there, and got it set in there and closed up. And there was a notice that there was a real bad gap, probably about an 1/8 inch gap in the deal. So I started thinking, and I went, I'm probably just gonna do this a separate way. And I took it back out and took all the LEDs off for the harness. I cut these wiring harnesses that go to the clip into the board. I cut them off the wiring harness, and a lot of you are probably going, "No, Jake, don't do that. You might ruin the board and everything." But it's okay. These boards run off 12 volts, and a lot of the stuff that I used in here are rated for 12 volts. And these are the warm white. Like I said, the round 2 lighting kit comes with a big length of warm white LED strip tape. And so I cut a few pieces. I took my Dremel and I used this. This is kind of like a knurling bit grinder, and just right on the inside of the upper wall right here, I ground down, took a lot of material off here to where I could get my LEDs, my LED strip tape up in here. Excuse me. I had a Coke earlier. Now it's all wanting to come up on me as soon as I start the video. But the reason why I did that is because when you put that round 2 lighting kit in there and then put put it together, and even though you hollow out the interior of the walls a little bit, when you put those on there, there's no light coming through right here and into the shuttle bay whatsoever, and you don't get any light coming up to these three little marker lights, or you only have the light that comes through with that little flat LED that comes through to that little room above the shuttle bay door. Well, and then there's also no place for you to get lighting going into from the front, backside on that main wall, the rear bulkhead of the shuttle bay. There was no way to get light to it because all the wiring was blocking it. So I started looking at it, and that's what I did. Is I took this little tool on my Dremel and ground down on both sides a little bit. Took off quite a bit of the material on there, and that allowed me enough to put a LED strip tape, a little piece of LED strip tape in on each side, and then a little piece up here on top to where, facing up to where it'll light this dome and these three little beacon lights right here. So And also I took and got some little 0603 SMDs, warm white, and mounted them up in here, one up here and one here, to get some light down to these windows here. So, and also got my lighting, my wiring done for here. And my client Steve wanted these LEDs, instead of being white, he wanted them red, and there was an episode of Star Trek where they were. So and the way I did that, instead of actually changing the LEDs, is what I did is I took those warm white LEDs and I dunked them in, dunked the diode casing into the clear red, which is the Tamiya clear red, the XF27, and let that dry overnight and come back and put them in, test them, and it worked. It worked real well. So so now it's all together. It's been, like I said, it's been glued and drying, and got this little piece in here on the bottom. And so here in a little bit I'm going to take you through and show you how to do the putting, for the seam work and everything. And so what I'm going to do now is I've got these hooked up on the board, and I'm going to turn it on now, and I'll show you the lights. It turned out real nice. So, and again, guys, just a warning, the lights always overexpose, overexposed on the cameras. So, all right, let me turn the overhead light off here, and so you can get you down into a little bit, and I get my light for my overhead light is on the outside of the shop here. So, but let me zoom you in a little bit. And like I said, guys, these lights are overexposed on this camera here. So in reality, they're a real nice warm white. They're not overly bright like they are on the refit. But they're real nice. And now I do have one that's not lit up here. Because the cord is the cord on the inside is not long enough to reach out to here, so I'm gonna have to hook it up and everything. But that dome lights up real nice, and what it is for that dome right there. So you can see we have a little bit of light leaks right here on the top. Let me back you up here, and there we go. We have some light leaks right here around those little beacon lights, and then right here. So what we'll have to do is, when we get through with our putty, the putty will take care of that, so we won't have to worry. But you can see our red LEDs, our red lights are flashing there. Steve, I hope you like that. They turned out real nice. But you can see into the shuttle bay. Let's see if I can't move that up to you, but see if I can't zoom in a little bit more to see if you can't get in there without my camera losing focus here. But you can see there just how nice that is, and how it's turned on. Now I don't have this one hooked up either, because it'll overexpose everything. So but this lights up real nice right here, and so you can see how nice and bright the shuttle bay lights up, and it turned out real well. So you can see the light leaks in the back, back here. You can see the little light leaks. We'll have to put some tulip in there and then just paint over that. That won't be hard, but you can see how well that turned out. So it turned out real nice. So I had one come loose on me. There we go. We have that light right there. So now we have light. You can see it lights up that room real nice, and it lights up this dome up here on top real nice and bright. So when we put those colors in there, we'll have it. And I diffused these because these lights are still pretty bright for in this area. You know, for these warm whites are still a little bit bright, and the shuttle bay is supposed to be kind of like an ambient light, real low lighting. And so what I did is I diffused the top side of the shuttle bay with just some regular old cardstock for paper, and it diffused it real nice. And so once you get, once you see it, once you look into it, in person, it's real nice, and it's got that real nice ambient glow to it. So, but that's it, pretty much it, guys, on this. It turned out real well. So, okay, guys, let me get turn this stuff off. Turn the power supply off, and we'll come right back and get set up to do the add some putty. So we'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned. All right, guys. Well, we're back, and have the lighting, the board disconnected now. So what I'm going to be using is our handy dandy, our Modeler's Choice painter's tape. You can get this at Walmart in different size. This is the clean release, so it works real well. It doesn't work, doesn't harm any of the paint whatsoever. And a lot of you, I know a lot of you used to use the Squadron product putty, but they had an issue with the putty being separated. It was separated, wasn't wanting to mix, and they had a issue with it, and they discontinued it for a while. And I guess they started bringing it back because I was at my hobby town and I saw some more of it. But I started using this Perfect Plastic putty because it goes on smooth to these holes, to the surfaces. You don't have to worry about it, clumping on or anything like that. But you may have to do it 2 or 3 times to get a good, nice, smooth seam. And so what we're going to do. Oh, and yes, this is water. This is an acrylic, so it washes off real easy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to apply some tape right through here on either side, just enough on either side to show, to get to cover up the seam. And then we're going to come back through. I'm going to use a different type of putty for this side because it's not a load-bearing joint. I could be using the if you can't get the Perfect Plastic putty, guys, you can use this 3M Spot Glaze Bondo putty. This is runs about $3 or $4 at a tube at Walmart. You can get it at AutoZone, O'Reilly's, any automotive store. This stuff works real good. It does, I recommend not using this on load-bearing joints like the pylons, or the main body side, or the neck. Anything that's going to be load-bearing, I would not suggest using this because it will separate and crack real easy, guys, and that would be kind of a bad thing to happen, and you have to go back and redo all that and run your paint work and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to use this stuff. So what we're going to do now is let me zoom you in a little bit. Let me get the camera up to where you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to find the end here. It's a new roll. So, okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to just barely put it, just enough room on the either side of the seam. Now you don't want to put it too close on there because you might you might not have enough, you know, you want to have enough putty on there to grab a hold of some of the, you know, some of the meat on either side of the seam, to where it will grab hold where you can, you know, you can sand and stuff like that. Now, a lot of people, some of the modelers will use, I know Steve Smith does this, and it does work. It does work real well, but he'll use CA glue on the seams and then sand it down, which it will work. But I just don't like that, because CA glue will crack and give way. So it would probably work real well with non load bearing joints, and it does sand smooth. So alright, I'll mix this up a little bit. You might want to, I always recommend doing this, guys, just kind of give your tube a little squeeze to get the juices going back up in there. Like I said, guys, this stuff is acrylic, so it will come off real easy. So we're going to squeeze. Let me get some of this older stuff dried off. This stuff does dry out, so you may have to go through and take a toothpick and get down in there and get rid of some of that older stuff that is dried out, and then it should come up. Let me do something else here. Let me grab another. There we go. Alright, let's try this again. So we'll squeeze just a little bit on my finger. And just be liberal with it, guys. Don't worry about, you want to put it on thick enough to where it'll cover the seam. If you put it on too thin, it won't cover. So we're going to put it on pretty thick. This stuff sands down real good. So you can see it dries on. It wipes on real smooth. No problems with this stuff whatsoever. So alright, let me get a paper towel. And like I said, this stuff is acrylic, so you can wash this stuff off with soap, you know, soap and water. Alright, get down here by the tail. I always put enough in the seams to fill that gap, because you know when you put the tape in there, you'll have a little trench. So you want to put enough in there to fill that trench up. Okay, well, that's that. And so what I'm going to do is flip this over on the top side now, and well, may not be able to because I don't want to get my putty off, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this set for about 30 minutes or so, go off camera, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this back just a little bit. Go ahead and hit this seam. Get my scissors here. Cut that off. Get another little piece of tape. Okay, so I'm not worried about getting it too much on this side. So, because there's a big gap to fill there, guys. We'll have to put enough in here to level that out a little bit. and most of the time this ends up being pretty much this whole area ends up being filled up with putty because of the seams that go. And again, guys, sorry for the noise in the shop. It's hot out here. My AC doesn't work very well in here, so I'm going to be replacing that soon. But sometime in the near future, I will be moving out into we have a storage shed. So go away, bug. I'll be glad when it's wintertime and a lot of these bugs die, because I don't know how many times I've gone out here and had fresh paint done and had a little bug stuck in the paint. So go ahead and fill this in. Like I said, guys, this stuff dries smooth, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill all this in, and tomorrow we'll let this set overnight, and we're going to sand it down and do it again, fill it up again to where our seams are real nice. So, but and close this up so it doesn't. Well, my lid doesn't want to go back down there we go. So, okay, guys, well, that's going to be a wrap for this, and we're going to let this set overnight. And within the next, tomorrow I'll go back through and sand it smooth and do the process all over again, and then we'll flip it around and do the top side. And by then, the next video in part 5 of the build up will have this completed, and I'll go through and show you how we do the touch-up paint on this, and we should have this thing ready to, the nacelles and the pylons and everything else are ready to be mounted, and then we'll go through and show you how to light up the neck. So we got a lot in store for you in the next video, guys. So, but all right, guys. Well, that's going to be a wrap for this episode tonight, guys. Hope it was informative for you. I could help out a little bit, and hopefully I helped you out in some things that you needed to know. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'll put the link up to my email address. Or my Facebook account, my Facebook group, Demko Modelworks, and like I said, I'll put that up on the bottom of the screen and go from there. So until then, guys, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next episode, guys. Happy modeling, everybody.